to that point, let me ask you, are you at liberty, or do you feel comfortable? If you don't, you do not have to answer. Do you have any input as to maybe some proposed intended legislation that may help make sure that history does not repeat itself? Because I'm thinking that if the processes that are in place that are being defended now are as good as they are presented to be, we would never have this conversation in the first place, because they would have caught it sooner than later. And part of the peripheral discussion of this discussion is, we're all legislators, and in 2 years, for some of us, or 4 years, we could be out of here, and history has a tendency to forget itself. And so I'm afraid that looking forward to the future of Arkansas, what do we need to fix legislatively so that this doesn't repeat itself? Because, and I appreciate Director Martin, I do. I think you've walked into a thankless, godless task, and you're doing a good job, and appreciate all of y'all sitting here to have this open, transparent discussion instead of behind closed door discussion where we can all express our feelings and work toward an end result. But my point is, what are you going to bring legislatively that's going to help make sure this doesn't happen? Because if it was perfect in the first place, or the best in the first place, it would have never happened in the first place. If you don't want to answer that, and we can talk about it later, we will. That'll be fine.
I will say, as it pertains to legislation, we have several ideas. They are with the governor's office right now. We've advised Senator Clark and along with working with individuals like Senator Herman Roseman Fight, and said as soon as we get the blessing from the governor's office, we're willing to share those and discuss the changes that need to be made to the child welfare system. We're also open to talking with anyone that wants to propose child welfare legislation as early as right now in preparation for the session. So we have a package, and we're also willing to sit down. As it pertains to staff, that is not something that we're looking at changing legislation. We are looking at policy, though, and it's one of the things that I just referenced in terms of the conversations I've had with Senator Clark about means for staff to feel like they have a voice and a quicker way to talk to individuals at Mischa's level that doesn't involve having to go up sometimes through the chain that they may be concerned about being solved in.
All right, thank you. Director Martin, one question. Do you feel, do you feel that currently, right now, the way things are, that for the severity of the cases that have been brought before this committee and others for discussion, do you think the processes and policies that are in place adequately transmit that information up to your level? And with what you've done recently as far as holding mid-level management, we'll call them accountable, do you feel that the processes are as good as they need to be, or are y'all working on changes to improve it?
I think we're still working on changes to improve it and really changing the culture. And I didn't get an opportunity to really respond to Senator Smith, and I apologize if you felt like I was skirting answers, but you know, I was disappointed when, not to get into the case specifics, but she did bring 2 cases, she brought me more, but just 2 cases in the last week where we did have to take action on, and I had to say, we didn't handle those appropriately. And I didn't want, you know, I wish that every case you guys brought to me, I could come back and say to y'all, yep, we did great, we made good decisions. But the fact of the matter is, we are still on a weekly basis getting cases, and maybe it's not maliceness on the employee side. On those, one maybe yes, one maybe not. Sometimes it is just working with that local staff saying, we're making relatives a priority, or here's what best practice is. We do have a high turnover rate that I'd like to work on. So our employees don't always have best practices when working with children and families. So we have to do more. I absolutely agree with you, but I also know that we do really have some good staff, because I want to throw that in there as well. There are some good areas that are doing some good work.
Real final question or comment, and question is that you made a comment about being a director, and we had discussions and meetings yesterday, for those that were here yesterday, about the hiring and, you know, 200,000 job applicants, you know, a year coming through DHS. I don't know how many of those you get.
A lot.
Okay, but you know, you combine all the other discussion in this committee about the turnover rate and about the quality and all that sort of stuff, and it does fall in the mix. I just want to know that the processes that get that information channeled up to you, because if you're managing 1,100 people and you got mid-level management below, that through the system and the policies are not communicating that information up, we're gonna keep having to have these meetings. And that matter about being afraid a while ago of an employee, there's a difference being afraid of an elected employee, an employee that's afraid to talk to an elected official, and being afraid of standing before a judge who can put you in jail for contempt, because we've had that testimony in here. I want to make sure all those fears are alleviated in your review of the processes. Thank you. And if you want to comment.
No, I won't